Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to deal with the histology of mammary gland. As usual, let's start by the learning objectives. By the end of this lecture, you will be able to explain the histological structure of the resting mammary and نتعرف على the histological structure of the resting mammary, to summarize the histological structure of the mammary gland at pregnancy. So we will get the histology of the mammary gland at resting state, non-pregnancy, non-lactating female, histological structure during pregnancy, and histological structure of the mammary gland during lactation. And so we are going to differentiate between resting mammary gland and lactating mammary gland. And I have one more tip, how to differentiate histologically between the thyroid gland and the mammary gland. Let's start. I will start by the case scenario. A 33-year-old pregnant woman rushed to the clinic as soon as she felt breast lump at the 6 months, but the physician assured her that is due to hormonal imbalance. She continued antenatal care until she delivered a full-term baby. After 9 months of normal feeding sessions, the lump has been resolved. Now she has regular checkup for breast abnormalities in the annual National Breast Care. So through our lecture, we gonna deal and focus on 3 different microscopic pictures: mammary gland at rest, mammary gland during pregnancy, and mammary gland during lactation. What are the contents of our lecture? Resting mammary gland in adult non-pregnant, mammary gland at pregnancy, and lactating mammary at lactation. Mammary gland, these are a pair of compound tubuloalveolar glands present in both sexes, in the male and female. Histological structure of the mammary gland varies according to sex, age, and physiological status. هنا المامري جلاند بتختلف، وزي ما قلنا عندي during rest و pregnancy and lactation. Forms, as you see here, the 3 forms of the mammary gland. What are the changes in the mammary gland? In the non-pregnant woman in the rest, the gland is inactive, undifferentiated, and the duct system inactive. As you see here in the diagram, duct system inactive and no alveoli. During pregnancy, the alveoli proliferate at the ends of the duct and prepare to secrete milk. During lactation, the alveoli are fully differentiated and the milk secretion started, and the milk ejection and the milk milk here fills the duct system. Okay. What are the structure of the mammary gland? We have a covering skin. The gland is covered with thin skin, which shows areola. Central pink area of skin becomes pigmented during pregnancy due to melanin accumulation. Montgomery glands are small elevation in the areola, and they secrete lubricative and antimicrobial secretion. The nipple is the elevation in the center of the areola, and it is formed of dense connective tissue, smooth muscle fibers, and it is highly innervated. The nipple is highly innervated, and it contains openings 15 to 20 lactiferous ducts. وبيفتح في النبل من 15 ل 20 lactiferous ducts. طيب. This is the area of the areola and nipple. Here you will find Montgomery glands, and the duct system of the mammary gland. Stroma of the mammary gland is formed of 3 parts: interloper, interlopular, lobule stroma. Interloper, dense fibrous connective tissue. We call it suspensory ligaments of Cooper. Suspensory ligaments of Cooper. Remember the names of the scientists. We have Montgomery glands, lubricative antimicrobial secretion, suspensory ligaments of Cooper, interloper septa, as they divide the gland into 15 to 20 loops. Interlopular septa, dense fibrous connective tissue, but less dense than interloper, and they divide the loops into lobules. They divide the loops into lobules. Lobule stroma is formed of adipose connective tissue and loose vascular connective tissue. Adipose tissue contains fat cells, while loose vascular connective tissue contains fibroblasts, lymphocytes, plasma cells, and macrophage. يعني باختصار أنا عندي الانترلوبر dense fibrous connective tissue mainly collagen fibers and fibroblasts. interlobular نفسه بالظبط لكن يمكن less dense. لكن اللابيول ستروما اللي هو adherent to the duct system هتلاقي عباره عن two connective tissue types. loose areolar connective tissue ده مليان macrophage, lymphocyte, plasma cells and fibroblasts. و adipose connective tissue اللي هو filled with fatty tissue. parenchyma of the mammary gland at rest. The resting mammary gland consists of duct system with no secretory units. Why? I'm talking about the resting mammary gland. So no alveoli. The intralobular ducts inside the alveoli lined by simple cubical epithelium. Lactiferous ducts result from union of intralobular ducts and lined by simple cubical epithelium also. By the end, the lactiferous ducts dilate to form lactiferous sinus just before their opening on the summit of the nipple. And the lactiferous sinus lined by stratified cubical epithelium, which is formed of two cuboidal epithelium. Just to elaborate here, this is the stratified cuboidal epithelium. Two cuboidal cells over each other only. And this is the nuclei. This is the nuclei of the cells. Okay. This is the lining epithelium of the duct, lactiferous duct. Lactiferous duct open to the skin, and so the lining epithelium becomes at the end merged with the stratified squamous keratinized of the skin. Look at this. This is very important. We have here the different phases of mammary gland. We have resting mammary gland number 1, number 2 early in pregnancy, highly branched duct system, but minimum alveoli or small sized alveoli. Mid-pregnancy, we have extensive branching with medium sized alveoli. Number 4, lactating mammary. Here we have extensive alveoli, budding of the duct system, and finally regression after weaning. Let's review the lining epithelium. Intralobular duct, simple cubical. Lactiferous duct, simple cubical. Lactiferous sinuses, stratified cubical. Stratified cubical is formed of two cubical cells, as I mentioned, and all the above duct system are surrounded by myoepithelial cells, which acted upon by oxytocin released from posterior pituitary. Yes. This is the resting mammary gland. Here you notice the extensive fatty tissue, and loose areolar connective tissue, duct system lined by simple cubical epithelium surrounded by myoepithelial cells. Again, duct system surrounded by loose areolar connective tissue, dense fibrous connective tissue, and so on. Duct system lined by simple cubical epithelium surrounded by myoepithelial cells. Mammary gland during pregnancy, also the covering skin, but the covering skin contains more brown due to melanin. Stroma formed of intralobular connective tissue, reduced in amount, while the parenchyma proliferates, duct system proliferates. Alveoli begin to appear at the 6 months, lined by columnar epithelium, surrounded again by myoepithelial cells. During the 9th month of pregnancy يبتدي يطلع عندنا لبن مشهور جدا جدا اسمه لبن السرسوب، or in English we call it colostrum rich in protein. وربنا سبحانه وتعالى عامله لنا علشان يغذي الطفل اللي لسه مولود بالبروتين. This is the microscopic appearance of pregnant mammary gland. Here you will find the loose areolar connective tissue, lymphocytes, loose areolar connective tissue, myoepithelial cells, duct system, as you see here. And this is the pregnant mammary gland, or mammary gland during pregnancy. Hormones acting on breast at pregnancy. I have very a lot of hormones, but we summarize the most important. Ovarian hormones come from estrogen, progesterone. Placental hormones, which is most numerous, most powerful, estrogen, progesterone, somatotropin, and we call it human placental lactogen. Anterior pituitary gland, growth hormone وبرولاكتين، والاثنين برضه بيشتغلوا على المامري جلاند. Suprarenal glucocorticoid. So you will find many hormones acting upon the mammary gland during pregnancy. Lactating mammary gland during lactation, or we call it lactating mammary gland. Also, it is compound alveolar gland. Don't forget that the gland is compound alveolar gland during the 3 phases, either resting, pregnancy, or lactating mammary gland. The gland is apocrine as the apical part of the cells is lost during secretion. Again, you will find here the 3 phases of the mammary gland: resting mammary gland 1, 2, and 3 mammary gland during pregnancy, and number 4 mammary gland during lactation. And finally, the mammary gland weaning and regression, it returns number 5 to the resting state. Lactating mammary gland, we have here lactating mammary. The lactating mammary characterized by presence of numerous alveoli, numerous duct system, but the most important characteristic of the microscopic appearance, as you see here in the diagram, is the presence of vacuolated milk. Vacuolated milk. Here, this is the vacuolated milk. This is the vacuolated milk. Alveoli lined by columnar epithelium. Alveoli lined by columnar epithelium. The septal connective tissue or septal connective tissue reduced in volume, while the alveoli increased in volume. Duct system and the alveoli represent the major part or percentage of the mammary gland in the lactating stage. Covering skin more deeper in color due to accumulation of melanin. Stroma of the mammary gland during lactation. Intralocular connective tissue reduced in amount. Septa are thin as the lobules are filled with more alveoli and ducts. Parenchyma. Duct system proliferate with new branches. Alveoli lined by columnar epithelial, and some of them lined by cubical epithelium, and they are directly surrounded by myoepithelial cells, and some are distended with milk and the others are empty. Milk secretion appears vacuolated due to dissolved fat droplets. This is very important. Look at this. This is the lactating mammary gland or mammary gland during lactation. You will find here the thinning out of connective tissue and extensive duct system and alveoli. The alveoli and duct system filled with milk, as you see here. Duct system and alveoli lined by epithelium and surrounded by myoepithelial cells. Look at this. This is the fat cells. Higher magnification of the mammary gland. You will find the mammary gland alveoli and the milk secretion vacuolated here. Hormones acting breast during lactation. We have prolactin secreted by anterior pituitary gland, stimulates alveolar cells to form milk. This is very important. While oxytocin secreted by posterior pituitary leads to contraction of myoepithelial cells, which lead to squeezing of alveoli and ejection of milk. يعني عندي هرمون بيستيميليت تصنيع اللبن، والهرمون الثاني بيعمل ميلك ايجكشن للبن. Let's say a few words about the mode of milk secretion. Look at this. Here you will find the milk formation. Milk formation, we have lipid, protein, and carbohydrate. But how the milk secreted, you will find the lipid accumulated with bulging cell membrane. And this bulging cell membrane extensively enclosed the whole lipid. The protein excreted by merocrine secretion, merocrine by exocytosis, without loss of any part of the cells, while the lipid secreted by removal of part of the cell. So we call this apocrine as the lipid secreted surrounded by part of the cell membrane of the cell, part of the cell membrane of the alveoli, of the columnar epithelial cells of the alveoli. We call this process apocrine, while protein and carbohydrates secreted by merocrine. Take care of this, please. Let's link the case scenario to the lecture. The case scenario started by female that had a hormonal imbalance during pregnancy, and she went to the clinic suffering from pain and swelling within her mammary gland. The doctor assured her that it is due to hormonal imbalance. After lactation, after labor, she started lactation, and her mammary gland changed to lactating mammary gland, as you see here, started feeding her baby. And after the end of lactation, her mammary gland returned to normal, and then she are used to go to the campaign of mammary gland check-up to assess her mammary gland condition. This is why the mammary gland undergoing many microscopical changes due to hormonal changes, either during rest, pregnancy, and lactation. We have here a question. Describe the parenchyma of mammary gland during lactation. This is very, very easy, as it is formed of duct system surrounded by myoepithelial cells, alveoli lined by simple cubical epithelium and columnar epithelium, secreting the milk secreted by lipid by apocrine method, while carbohydrate and protein by merocrine method. And that's it. Let's start by this question. The stroma of mammary gland contains interloper septa, which is formed of interloper septa, dense fibrous connective tissue. You can press pause and try to answer before I answer the question. This is a good way to assess yourself. Stroma of mammary gland contains interlopular septa, which is formed of also dense fibrous connective tissue. The lobule connective tissue of mammary gland is formed of loose and adipose connective tissue, number E, loose and adipose connective tissue. Intralopular ducts of the mammary gland are lined by simple cubical epithelium, number B, the answer number B. Lactiferous duct is lined by also simple cubical epithelium, number B. Lactiferous sinus lined by stratified cubicle, answer number D. The areola of mammary gland contains more, after pregnancy, so it contains more melanin. Epithelium of the alveoli of mammary gland is directly surrounded by, number D, myoepithelial cells. Secretion of lactose of the milk occurs by which of the following mode? Number B, merocrine. Secretion of the fat of the milk occurs by which of the following mode? Number A, apocrine. Secretion of protein also by merocrine, like carbohydrate. Alveoli of lactating mammary gland are lined by which of the following? Simple columnar, number B. A 24-year-old female came to the clinic suffering painful mass in her right breast, and she added that she feels burning sensation, especially while breastfeeding. She has regular menstrual period, and the doctor found redness tender right breast, temperature 38.5, and she assured her antibiotic reliever. Breastfeeding counseling is recommended by a physician. And if you have biopsy from the left breast of this patient, which of the following picture under microscope will you find A, B, and C. Try to answer this, please. Yeah. While breastfeeding. So the answer is number C. The answer is number C, as it is breastfeeding. Yeah. So during lactation, yes, exactly. Thank you for all of you. I hope it was helpful for you. If you found it not, you can listen and watch the lecture again. Assalamu alaikum.